marketing and business standpoint. If you're a new franchise, you draft her first thing. Because she's one of the few players in this league that's got a fan base. That's all there is to it. Has her own high-profile podcast on the Volume. And she's in on marketing opportunities. She's showing up everywhere.
She is the most searched WNBA player on Google in 2025. She owns one of the largest and most engaged fan bases the league has ever seen. And she accomplished all of that after spending just one season with the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark's influence is no longer limited to box scores or highlight reels. It now extends directly into roster decisions, branding strategy, and league-wide economics. That's why a seemingly casual moment when Clark publicly told Sophie Cunningham it's time to run it back deserves far more attention than it received. Because that wasn't just a friendly comment between teammates. It was a signal. In today's WNBA, public alignment with Caitlin Clark carries weight. Fans dissect her words. Media amplifies them. Front offices notice them. When Clark expresses support for a teammate, she's not just endorsing a basketball fit. She's reinforcing a narrative the Fever have been carefully building around chemistry, loyalty, and identity. This matters because Clark's presence has fundamentally altered Indiana's position in the league. The Fever are no longer just another rebuilding franchise. They are a national draw, a television anchor, and a merchandising powerhouse. Every roster decision now has consequences beyond wins and losses. It affects ticket sales, brand partnerships, social engagement, and long-term market positioning. Sophie Cunningham exists directly at the intersection of all of that. Clark choosing to publicly align herself with Cunningham sends a message to the fan base. This matters to me. And when you are the most influential player in the league, that message carries leverage. It shapes public opinion, creates expectations, and quietly pressures decision-makers to keep the core intact. What looks like a simple moment of chemistry is actually a preview of a much larger conflict Indiana is about to face, one where basketball logic collides with marketing reality. And as the WNBA moves toward expansion, moments like this become even more significant. Because when the league expands, not everyone gets to stay. And when Caitlin Clark signals who she wants beside her, that choice can echo far beyond one off-season.
Having a moment on the court. And so I think Chloe's playing right now overseas, right? So on this post, Caitlin Clark posted this. It's time to run it back.
On paper, the Fever appear to have flexibility. Depending on the final terms of the new CBA, teams will be allowed to protect 5 or 6 players in the expansion draft. That sounds generous until you actually start making the list. Caitlin Clark is a lock. Aaliyah Boston is a lock. Lexi Hull, recently signed to a multi-year extension, is almost certainly protected. That's 3 spots gone immediately. And suddenly, what felt like plenty of room becomes a problem. Now the front office is forced into a difficult decision. Kelsey Mitchell or Sophie Cunningham? From a purely basketball perspective, the answer seems obvious. Mitchell has been with the franchise for 7 years. She's a proven scorer, averaging around 17 points per game. She has established chemistry with Clark and has expressed interest in staying in Indiana. Coaches value continuity, and Mitchell represents that. But roster decisions in today's WNBA are no longer purely about basketball. From a business and marketing standpoint, Sophie Cunningham offers something Mitchell doesn't. Crossover visibility. Cunningham connects with audiences that don't traditionally follow the WNBA. She appears in spaces where the league rarely gets exposure. She attracts attention from younger demographics, digital-first audiences, and casual sports fans who may not tune in for box scores but will engage with personalities. That difference matters more now than ever. The league is entering an expansion phase while negotiating a new CBA and attempting to sustain the momentum generated by Caitlin Clark's arrival. Players who can help grow the audience beyond existing fans are incredibly valuable. Cunningham fits that profile perfectly. Indiana isn't just choosing between 2 players. They're choosing between 2 strategic paths, protecting proven production or protecting cultural reach. Neither option is wrong, but choosing incorrectly could cost them far more than points per game.
Been a while since we just talked straight Fever action, but free agency is leaving a lot of questions. Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Chloe Bibby probably won't be on this team, although I wish we could figure out how to get Red back on the team. Yeah, I would appreciate that. As always, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you check to see if you're still subscribed. YouTube is still unsubscribing people without their
That brief exchange reveals something many fans and analysts are overlooking about this free agency and expansion cycle. Sophie Cunningham is no longer just a role player. She has evolved into a strategic asset, one that expansion franchises are actively evaluating, even if the conversation hasn't reached mainstream media yet. The Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo are entering the league with a unique advantage: access to unprotected players from existing rosters. Expansion drafts aren't about finding hidden talent. They're about finding immediate relevance. And Cunningham checks boxes that few available players can match. If Indiana fails to protect her, they won't be risking a minor loss. They'll be handing a competitor a ready-made brand piece. This is where the situation becomes complicated. While much of the public discussion focuses on whether Kelsey Mitchell will re-sign with the Fever, there's a very real scenario where Sophie Cunningham never even reaches traditional free agency. If she's left unprotected, Portland or Toronto can claim her outright. No negociación, no contrato fe. Just gone. Expansion teams don't think the way established franchises do. They aren't just building depth charts, they're building identities. They need players who can instantly attract fans, generate media attention, and give casual viewers a reason to care before the first tip-off. Cunningham provides that from day one. She has visibility beyond basketball. She appears on major podcasts. She co-hosts shows. She's comfortable in front of cameras and unafraid of public conversation. In a league that still struggles with consistent mainstream coverage that matters. And most importantly, she already has national recognition tied directly to the league's biggest star. That association alone raises her value in an expansion context. Portland and Toronto aren't blind to that. Indiana may view Cunningham as a complementary piece. Expansion teams view her as a foundation.
on the court. Just keeping it real. Watched a lot of other teammates just stand around while Sophie trying to scrap. And for some of us, we appreciate that. Where was the rest of y'all? And yeah, y'all all going to keep getting called out until you show that fire. The good news is Indiana doesn't necessarily have to choose when it comes to getting Cunningham or Mitchell. Both players have expressed.
This is where expansion teams change the equation entirely. Portland and Toronto are not operating under the same constraints as Indiana. They aren't preserving legacy relationships or balancing internal expectations. They are starting from zero. And when you're starting from zero, players like Sophie Cunningham become disproportionately valuable. Expansion franchises need faces, not just talent. They need players who can sell tickets before the team wins games. They need people who can do interviews, appear on podcasts, generate clips, and give fans something to latch onto immediately. Cunningham does all of that. She already has a social media following. She already understands media responsibilities. She already has experience operating alongside the league's most visible star without ego clashes or public tension. That last point is critical. The WNBA has seen multiple rosters struggle due to personality conflicts and internal dynamics. Expansion teams will prioritize players who can integrate smoothly into a leadership role without destabilizing the locker room. Cunningham has proven she can do exactly that. And because she has already been part of a high-pressure, high-visibility environment with Indiana, she won't need a long adjustment period. She can step into a new market and immediately become a spokesperson, not just a contributor. That makes her a perfect expansion draft target, and one Indiana cannot afford to underestimate.
I mean, no matter what, when you're dealing with the WNBA, you've got sickos out there. I scroll down, and here is this. Has Caitlin Clark ever cheated on her boyfriend Connor? Guys, I'm not justifying hitting that. Wow. Even the fans. I mean, we found this out. The fans of this league, God, they're ate up with agenda.
This is where the Fever's front office must be extremely careful. If Indiana assumes they can leave Sophie Cunningham unprotected and simply re-sign her later, they are making a dangerous miscalculation. The moment she becomes available in the expansion draft, Portland or Toronto will take her. There's no realistic scenario where she slips through. And this isn't just about her on-court value, though her shooting and defensive intensity are absolutely meaningful. It's about what she represents to the fan base. Indiana fans have made their position clear. Engagement around Cunningham's potential return is strong. Social media reaction, fan commentary, and online discourse all suggest she has become part of the team's identity far faster than anyone expected. Most players need years to build that kind of connection. Cunningham did it in one season. A major reason for that was how she carried herself during the Fever's playoff run, and how publicly she defended Caitlin Clark when others remained silent. That mattered to fans. Loyalty matters. Chemistry matters. And in an era where star-driven leagues thrive on narrative as much as performance, those details can't be ignored. Indiana is no longer managing a standard roster. They are managing an ecosystem built around the most influential player the league has ever seen. Every move must reflect that reality. And losing Sophie Cunningham not because of basketball logic, but because of strategic oversight would be a mistake they'd feel immediately, both on the court and everywhere else.